This is a tier list. Basically, I picked one person to represent each trade, and we're going to put them in one of 5 categories. Perfect. So this means it worked out for both teams, or one of the teams is going to get a big effect this year. So perfect means that like everyone's kind of benefiting. Rock solid means one might win more than the other, but it's a quality move. Maybe it's a shuffling move. I think the Rays moves. Rays make a lot of rock solid moves. Okay moves are like, yeah, okay, like I don't know, not crazy high upside, but it's probably not super risky either. Or it's like super risky because it could be great or it could be awful. Then there's not great where you're like, I don't really understand, or like, whatever, like this probably isn't the best one in the world. And I'm confused means I don't know what the hell, I don't know where this one came from. We will start with Aaron Savali because that happened earlier this month. That was July 6th. Brewers needed starting pitching at the time. I'm like, it's really low risk, but for both sides. So I gave the Aaron Savali trade in. Okay, pretty good. Easiest okay we've ever okayed. All right, moving on. AJ Puck for De Los Santos. I tending to lead to not great. AJ Puck, I feel like he's nasty. He's got really great stuff, but generally underwhelming in terms of how good he is. De Los Santos is a good prospect. Yeah, I feel like Puck underperforms his metrics, which means there's probably something up here. Austin Hayes for Seranthony Dominguez and Christian Pache. I think that's a rock solid trade, and I'll tell you why. Austin Hayes has been getting better and better and better through the year. He started slow as hell, guys, to the point where he lost his starting spot. He was an all-star last year. He took me deep, so I'm going to give him props for that as well. It's tough to do that.
2-2. He barrels this one up. Deep left field. And this game is tied.
Not tough to do that. I gave him 60. Anyway, Austin Hayes, good player, good defensively, can hit, can run. He's just pretty dynamic. It's a better situation to have him up as opposed to Pache. Pache, I don't know if he's going to be even in the big leagues or stay in the big leagues, but if he is, defensively, him and Cedric Mullins, you can put them in the outfield and you'd be fine. Just those two. I know that Sir Anthony's been just kind of mad this year, but he's a good electric arm. If he gets hot, then he'll help them in the bullpen. So they get a bullpen guy as well. Carlos Estevez to the Phillies. I think that's rock solid. I think they really needed it. And then the Angels get some prospects that I'm sure they won't develop very well, but I'm not worried about the Angels at all. I just kind of try not to think about them, because it's really frustrating too. The Phillies needed a guy like Carlos Estevez. He has thrown very, very well at the end. Very solid. The Phillies do need help. The bullpen seems gassed. So getting another guy is very helpful. And he actually hadn't thrown too much either, like because there wasn't a ton of opportunities. So good for him. All right. Danny Jensen. We had a chance to watch him with the Red Sox. There's going to be a lot of okays in this, guys, because the okays are going to be just like, it doesn't really move the needle, but it doesn't hurt him. It doesn't hurt either one. He's good at hitting fastballs off lefties. He's good against lefties, better than Reese McGuire. Reese McGuire is struggling, and he's good defensively. Is he going to move the needle in any huge, meaningful way? Probably not, but I don't think he's going to hurt them either. All right, Hunter Harvey. I would have had it in okay because the Royals need bullpen help. He's now hurt. We're going to throw a no great. He got hurt immediately. Hunter Harvey, I think potentially could be an okay or even a rock solid moving forward, but right now he's not helping. Oh, Harvey's healthy again? I'm still going to go with not great. Isaac Paredes for Christian Morel and several others. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go rock solid for Isaac Paredes. 2 reasons. 1, I think the Cubs recharged with a guy that could potentially, if he goes off, sneak them in or get them back in this thing. And 2, they have control over him, so he's a real power threat at third base. He can pull the ball in Wrigley too. I think that field will help him out. Christopher Morel going to the Rays is a good change of scenery. I think he's a vibes guy, and I think somehow he's going to produce similarly to Paredes because he's there. I think it's a rock solid move. Paredes' defense is better too. He's a better player, yes, but I think Christopher Morel is going to go to a slightly higher level with the Rays because of the Rays. We got James Paxton goes to the Boston Red Sox. I'm going to go with an okay simply because the Red Sox just needed a veteran guy. I think he's going to be helpful, and there wasn't a ton that needed to move for it. This is like a low risk, medium reward type situation, right? Is that Hunter Harvey under not great? You know what? I'm going to change this. I think the Royals needing Hunter Harvey makes it more of an okay situation. Jason Adam to the San Diego Padres. I'm going to give that a perfect fit because, and it was a rock solid till yesterday when they went and got Tanner Scott. And now they have him and Tanner Scott together. That's an 8-9 punch right there. And guys, that pen they got 3 dudes. And he has been a dude for 3 years. And people don't talk. I love him. I love Jason Adam. He's one of my favorites. So, Jazz Chisholm. Now, this one's interesting now. Jazz has hit 4 home runs at his first 3 games, right? So, I had him here at first, right? I'm like, it's okay. Simply, it was only okay because I was like, okay, but like, what, are you going to put him at a position he's never played? So there's still a possibility that backfires, guys. There were some situations last night, for example, when he didn't let that ball go at third and he picked it up and tried to throw it to first. Not that he made the wrong decision. It's just he has no experience with that. So he just had to make a quick decision in a way that he's not used to. And that's the type of thing that's going to get exposed. And there's nothing you can do about that. All you can do is experience. But now I'm going to go to rock solid. And then I'd say rock solid. Oh, it's rock solid. He's gonna play well. He's really streaky, but let's see how hot he comes out. But since he came out so hot, I'm between rock solid and perfect. It's not a perfect move because he's got to play third base, right? So he's playing a position he's never played, man. That is gonna get exposed. It's the major leagues. At some point, there's gonna be a game where he is lost. Like, I'm not worried about him figuring it out. I'm just saying, like, doing it on the fly, no matter how good you are. Even Joe Mauer took like 3 weeks to get first base down, and he's probably the best technical baseball player I've ever seen. Luis Arias. Perfect trade. I think Luis Arias going to the San Diego Padres is one of the major reasons they're in the position they're in right now. Moving on, Michael Lorenzen goes to the Royals. Okay play. I think it's good. It's just depth. It fulfills a need. They needed it. It works out. Also, Lorenzen wears Vans. Okay. Phil Maton goes to the Mets. He's thrown pretty well. I'm gonna give it an okay. Phil Maton, solid pickup. Needed to add a guy to the bullpen, but he's the 5th, 6th, 7th inning guy. So Buto's thrown really well in that situation, and they didn't really give up anything. So we'll give it okay. So okay's like probably not gonna hurt you too bad, and if it does, it's not gonna hurt you too bad to get rid of him. I'm gonna give Randy Arozarena to the Mariners. Perfect. 1, they didn't have to give up too much for him. 2, he's getting hot at the right time. 3, he's a good defensive outfielder and a clutch ass MFer. 3, he's getting hot. A perfect fit for the Mariners. Now, is he going to solve all their problems? No, but if you had to choose a place for Randy to go at that moment, I'd say the Mariners are the best fit for him because they need a left fielder. They need a right-handed bat that with some pop, and they need a guy to be a little bit clutch. Ryan Stanek to the Mets. It's between these two, and I'm debating whether or not the things that the Mets needed. They needed to get an 8th inning guy at that time. They needed a guy to bridge to Diaz. I know they're still kind of trying to do that. The 8th inning is his worst inning. He has shown a pattern of 6th innings his best inning, 7th innings his second best, 8th innings his worst, 9th inning slightly better than his 8th inning. He's a middle relief guy, and you needed a back end guy. He's prone to stretches of poor pitching, like 3, 4, 5 straight outings where things are a little shaky. And the New York Mets, that's not a place to have one of those. You know what I mean? Like, he is nasty. I'm not saying he's not nasty. He's very, very good. It's just he's very, very streaky, and his good outings and his bad outings are all clumped together. It's potentially not great for them. Yimi Garcia to the Mariners. I'm going to give that a rock solid. They are desperately needing a 7th or 8th inning guy. They swapped Stanek for Yimi Garcia. Yimi's been really, really good. He's been a dog. He's got throwing the hardest he's thrown in his career. All right, Zach Eflin to the Orioles. That's okay. I'm going to go with a okay Zach Eflin. The Rays got like 15 prospects in this trade deadline. I think Eflin is the 4. People said he was having a down year. It's so funny. His stats are actually slightly better than they've been in his career for his average. He's just a solid Kyle Gibson type. And also he has another year on his contract, so they get another guy for next year too. And he doesn't walk a bunch of guys. He's just a natural pitcher. He's a good pitcher. Actually, no. Yeah, I think that's a rock solid too. I think that's a good pickup. I do love that pickup. I think it's really good. All right. Ahmed Rosario back to LA. Honestly, not that this is bad. It's just like, I don't really know. I mean, I know they wanted to play second base a little bit and be a little bit of a utility guy. And they already saw this movie and they didn't re-sign him. You know what I mean? It was a little weird. I was just like, okay. By the way, that I'm confused doesn't mean that I have a problem with it. The not great is the worst one. The I'm confused is like, I don't really know what impact it's going to have either way. Continuing on, Josh Bell, DFA'd and then picked up by Arizona. I'm going to put it in okay because they gave literally nothing up. Nothing up, and he can play first base. Paul Blackburn to the Mets. Rock solid for a couple reasons. I know he hasn't pitched a lot. He just came off the IL. He's going to eat innings. He's going to be your 4 or 5. In the playoffs, he might be a long guy, but he knows how to pitch. He's a veteran guy. He's really smart, and he throws all kinds of great, and he's got a great breaking ball. All right, Mark Canha, another legend. Going to the San Francisco Giants. That's okay. It's good. Solid. We'll go rock solid. It's Mark Canha. He's rock solid. He's going back home to the Bay. He gets to replace Soler. I think the Giants grab him. They didn't have to give up that much for him. It's rock solid. Dylan Carlson to the Tampa Rays. I don't really know. I think the Rays probably see something in him that is interesting to them. Doesn't seem to move the needle in any real way right now. And maybe the Cardinals just saw an opportunity to grab some guys that they've wanted for a while. It might be a change of scenery. I need you to know one thing about the St. Louis Cardinals guys. They are very, very old school. The way they do things over there, it's like our way or the highway. And that doesn't work for everybody. So sometimes guys leave and they have more success in other places. Andy Chafin goes to the Rangers. So it would be rock solid, but I don't really know what the Rangers are doing. But now they have him, Robertson, and Yates. I'm not actually familiar with how well he's throwing this year, but you can always use a lefty. He's a veteran. He always gets traded at the deadline. And the Rangers went and got somebody, which was interesting to me. JT Shagwell to the Mariners. He's been solid. I'm a big JT Shagwell fan. The guy loves fedoras. We were teammates. More depth for the Mariners. Electric arm. He's been a Mariner before. Middle reliever. I don't think he's going to hurt him. I think he's going to be fine. He's got a 1.6 this year, striking guys out. So, we have Alex Cobb to the Guardians. Now, it's between these two, right? Like, I don't know. Here's what I'm going to do. Because he hasn't pitched yet, I'm going to go with not great. I don't know if that's going to solve the starting pitchers. That's all they got. So if you're a Guardians fan, you're like, really, we got just Alex Cobb who hasn't pitched? Him being traded to them makes sense. The Guardians probably think that if he gets healthy and he throws really well, then we could get a huge steal here, and there wasn't a lot going on. But for now, I just don't like grabbing a guy who hasn't pitched yet, knowing nothing about him. Ryan De Los Santos to the Pirates. Solid. He's better than most people know, I think. He's really good defensively, got a really good arm. He's got some pop. Pirates needed all of those things. Their corners have not produced the way they want them to produce. I think he could help, potentially be really good. You know what? I'm going to go with rock solid. I think that's a rock solid pickup. All right, Aniel De Los Santos to the Yankees. I don't know a ton about him. Hard-throwing guy. Another depth piece. They added a guy for depth. Sure. It's okay. It's fine. Paulie DeYoung. Again, it's like an okay to the Royals because worst case scenario, they didn't really give much up for him. He can play second base, but he also led the White Sox in home runs. So he's got a lot of pop this year. He has 18 home runs. So maybe they get a little pinch hit pop out of him. They do need a little bit more pop in that lineup. So it could potentially be okay, and there's just very little risk. If he does nothing, he does nothing. Eloy, between rock solid and okay, he is horrendous in the outfield. A terrible outfielder, mostly for lack of concentration, but the dude can hit. I'm going to go with okay. I don't know how well he fits in that lineup. He's been hurt off and on this year too, so just the health kind of brings him down here, but we'll go okay with Eloy. Lucas Urseg to the Kansas City Royals. Solid pickup. I think that he's so controllable that they're going to get more value out of him moving forward. He's a smart guy. I like Lucas a lot. I worked hard with him. I also got him his first show bag, so there's a little bias here. I think he's a good pickup. He's thrown pretty well this year. He's going to be a guy who gets big outs for them. Jack Flaherty to the Dodgers. Perfect. He is in the top 3. He is a playoff starter for them. They need a guy who will throw into the 7th. They need a guy who's thrown really well this year. He has actually been more dominant than he's been in the past. He's striking out way more guys than he usually does. Finally got away from the Cardinals. I'm glad that he gets to go to a place like that, and it's also close to where he's from. So fits really well with the team and what they needed. Trevor, the Yankees had a deal for Flaherty, and they chose not to because of Flaherty back issues. I mean, it's a rental either way, so I don't really know. It's interesting. The Yankees didn't really do much, though, so I don't know what to tell you. I don't know if Hal and Cashman are that good. I mean, I know Jazz has played really well, but like you went and got a guy who, and then where you don't have him for a position, you're just gonna have him play another position. That's not a very savvy move. Okay, Dylan Floro, rock solid. That guy's good every year. He's been the same guy every year. They needed help out there in the pen. I think he's gonna help. He's now there with Puck too. He's a guy who you know what you're gonna get. All right, Louis Garcia. I'm gonna go with the rock solid on Louis Garcia to the Red Sox because they desperately need him. Louis Garcia, they just don't have a power arm like that. I know he's older. I know he hasn't had the best year on the planet, but the Boston Red Sox are hurting big time. So I'm gonna give it a rock solid. Frankie Montas to the Brewers. I don't know. I don't think that's gonna do much. I understand it, so I'm not confused. I understand the move, but he has been very underwhelming since he was traded. Like, yeah, maybe it's okay because he's healthy, but like he's got a 5+ ERA. He's had been injured off and on, constantly gets injured, and isn't the power guy. He's not striking out. He's striking out less than 1 an inning. Like he just hasn't been dominant or shown much dominance at all. Jalen Beeks to the Pirates, rock solid. The left-handed Cutter Crawford with the funky ass arm. I think he's a solid pickup, and he's having a really good year. Though he is, well, now he's second in blown saves behind Clay Holmes. He has been good. He's been one of the better ones. To be able to have any success at all in Colorado is impressive. So I'll give that a rock solid. Kikuchi goes to the Astros. He's a fly ball guy. I think that's just okay. I think he's going to eat some innings. When he's electric. But I don't know if he really solves their problems much. That they really needed a first rounder. So I'm just going to go okay. I don't know how well it's going to work out. You guys think the Astros overpaid for Kikuchi? All right, we're going to go with a not great then. Where did Lane Thomas go? Guardians. Dude, great pickup. Lane Thomas, great player. Guardians, they need outfield production. He can play center field. A better option than Miles Straw, in my opinion. He's a very Guardians type player. All right, Justin Turner to the Mariners. Though he's had a down year, he can play first base. They don't have Ty France anymore. He can play third base in a pinch. They need that as well. He can play both corners. He's right-handed. He has a little bit of pop. They'll help him out. And honestly, if he just gets some hits every once in a while, everyone's an upgrade for the Mariners. And if you're going to go get somebody with the experience he has. Him and Randy, I think, are great additions to the clubhouse and are going to make a big difference. Then we get J.P. Crawford back and we get Julio Rodriguez back. Now we're cooking. Quinn Priester for Nick York. I'll be honest. Don't know a lot about Quinn Priester. Don't know anything about Nick York. So that's probably why they didn't make it in here. Edman, where did he end up? The Dodgers? Okay, so I think this is an okay move, though he has underperformed a little bit. Yeah, him and Gavin Lux, right? Now we're figuring out where we want Edman to play. He can also play the outfield. But the whole Ahmed Rosario thing is confusing. So I'm like, why did you get them both? You know what? I think this is a rock solid trade. I do. I think these three guys going to the places they went is a great play. So we'll say Kopech's in here as well. Let's take these. We don't need to stack this many guys in here. So we'll just, Edman, you are going to be the guy that we use for this trade. All of those guys, I think, are going to help the teams they're on. I'm a big fan of that. Other than the White Sox need to get much in return, are we really worried about Chicago White Sox guys? They very clearly know what they're doing. Brazoban, rock solid to the Mets. Okay, so the Mets bullpen, they added Ryan Stanek, Phil Maton, and Brazoban, and Zuber. So I would put, I'm confused on Zuber probably. Then we have Kevin Kiermaier. He's going to be a great depth piece. Great defensive replacement, that is, if he decides stays on the team, right? Congratulations, KK, on a great career, man. Seriously. Is he retiring? Shit trade then? Why is that a shit trade? He was a free agent after this year anyway, so he wasn't going to be there past this year. So why is it suddenly not a good trade because he's finished at the end of the year? If anything, because he's retiring means he's going to blow it all out and he's going to play out of his mind. That's what I did. Do I think Rooker and Miller should have gotten traded? I think Rooker definitely should have got traded. Definitely. They could have gotten the house for him. He's like a top 10 hitter in the major leagues. Okay, Al Leiter Jr. to the Yankees. That's okay. Another depth piece. Again, he's a middle reliever type guy. He's got good stuff. He threw well last night. I think it's solid. Martin Perez. Always a good first half pitcher, but notoriously really falls off a lot in the second half. You guys aren't going to agree with that, but I'll show you why in a moment. I think that's a not great trade. I think that at the end of the day, he's going to end up throwing bullpen innings, and he's not going to be in the starting rotation all year for the Padres. I like Martin a lot. I was his teammate, but basically year in and year out, his first and half production is night and day every single year. Trevor Richards to the Twins. We'll give an okay Trevor Richards to the Twins. He's a very twinsy situation, but the problem with that is he scrapped his slider this year. He was throwing so well, and he's been hit really, really hard recently. He's just got a big slow screwball type changeup and a below average fastball. So the Twins maybe try to get him to throw a breaking ball again, but it's somewhere hovering between not great and okay in my opinion. Tanner Scott. Huge pickup for the Padres. I like the Tanner Scott ad. And then because Tanner Scott is now added to Jason Adam, those two guys combined is such an interesting take for me at the back end of the bullpen. They just went from having a solid bullpen to a really good one. Oh, and Scott also was stolen, it seems, from the Dodgers. So I'll give that a perfect trade. I think that's a really good pickup for them, and he has been lights out, been one of the best closers in the league. Now, the one thing that I will say is there's a difference going from a team that's out of it and closing for them to going to a team that is into it all of a sudden. Pressure changes, and different guys react differently. Lucas Sims of the Red Sox, huge pickup. They needed him with Louis Garcia, too. So I'll go rock solid. They needed him, dude. So Louis Garcia and him, Red Sox, because the Red Sox need him so bad, they'll take anybody. All right, Jorge Soler. I'll give you a perfect. I know you guys are all gonna be like, dude, Soler back to the Braves. They're doing it again. So we'll give him a perfect. Has his power been down? Yes. Is it the Giants? Yes. Like Alex Anthopoulos is big on just let's do what we did before. He's a World Series MVP, back to where it all started, man. So I'm gonna give him a perfect. They needed the outfield production. Hopefully he had some juice and some scariness and some walks to that lineup because they're struggling. Greg Soto, I'll give a rock solid to that simply because I think it changed the scenery, and I think the Orioles really needed another bullpen guy. I would say it's a solid pick, and he's a power lefty. Now they have all kinds of stuff. Actually, no, I'll put Greg into the okay with Mark Leiter. It's one of those type of moves for me. They need velo, they need swing and miss, and he's got those things, even though he's not throwing well lately. I think Jesse Weaker is a great pickup. Lefty stick, having a good year at the plate, can pinch hit, play the outfield. I think Winker is exactly what they need. And in the past, right, remember when they got Naquin and Vogelbach and all these like guys they wanted to mix and match. I think he's the best version of that. and he's also been very clutch this year. I think it's a perfect fit for them. I think personality-wise, I think Mets fans will like him if he's doing well. Winger's probably going to be the fourth guy, man. Or him and Marte switch on and off, or him and Bader switch on and off, Nimmo in the center. Like, they're going to just mix it up, probably. And he can DH as well, but they got, they got a lot of options, which is nice. All right, Trevor Rogers. Honestly, I'm a little bit of a head scratcher because they gave up Connor Norby for him. They gave up so much for him, and he's really not been great. He's been fine. He's been like kind of league average, kind of erratic for a couple years now. Like, he hasn't been great, and he's not throwing as hard as he used to. I don't know what the long-term vision is for him. I just felt like if they were going to give up Norby, it should have been for maybe more of a sure thing. So a little confused. I thought that was a lot, but then again, what do I know, right? Like, Rogers' velo has been dropping every single year. He's hurt a lot, and he has not been near as effective as he was when he first came up. So, like, I don't know what they're seeing. So it's a little confusing, but it could possibly be okay. Okay, IKF to Pitt. Yeah, I'll give that a nice okay. I don't really know why. But I know that Nick Gonzalez just got hurt, right? So they need some defense. So it's a depth piece. Like, they're going for a depth piece for IKF. So here it is. Here's the trades. That's not every single one, but it's most of them. And that's my tier list. Take it or leave it. Really quick, before we end this, who do you think the top 3 winners of the trade deadline were? I think you're right with the Mariners. Obviously, they didn't get all the biggest names, though. I think Randy was one of the prizes. I really do. I think Randy's a big prize. Mariners are one of the top ones. I think probably the Dodgers. They got Flaherty. They got Kopech, a bunch of depth, Edman. And then they got Kiermaier's depth. They got Ahmed Rosario as depth. Yeah, and I think Padres probably are there too. With Scott and Adam. I love the Scott and Adam pickup. I really, really do. And then you got to add Arias in there too. So, like, that's pretty good. Marlins completely revamped their farm. I would say the Marlins could win. And you know what we'll do? We'll do HM Marlins. But again, we're gonna go. We're basing this off of when you trade guys at the deadline. Their goal is to like go for it for the playoffs, and so we're gonna think about it that way, right? We'll see about the Marlins how those guys pan out. There's no way to tell. We won't know until next year and the years following. But we can tell that these 3 teams probably, I think, did the most savvy moves in order to solve their needs for this year. Yeah, I don't think the White Sox did good. I'd say the White Sox lost on this. They're gonna end up probably losing on that because they lost everybody and they didn't really get a ton back. And they got nothing for Fetty, too. I'd say the Astros made one trade and probably overpaid, in my opinion. Angels should have been an easy sell everybody. And I will say the A's didn't sell Rooker. They should sell Rooker. Rooker needs to go somewhere else. But they should have sold Anderson, Pilar. Yeah, Pilar should have been gone easy. Ward should have been gone easy. Rengifo should have been. These guys should have been gone. And then honorable mention, who did nothing? I would say probably Twins, Brewers, Rockies. Yeah, that's a good one too. Yankees win with Jazz? No, Yankees don't win with Jazz. Yankees are not going to be in the top 3 just because they have one guy who's not playing the position he's supposed to be playing, and he hit 4 home runs in 3 games. Like, I understand that's really exciting, but if you think he's going to hit 4 home runs every 3 games, you're wrong. He's overperforming. I'm not falling for that. I mean, I would say the Orioles are maybe on the outside looking in. And Yanks, huh? You happy? And I'll also probably put the Mets in here as well. Honestly, I think the Mets are winners. F it. Because of Winker. I think Winker was big for them. Mets, and they added like 4 bullpen guys. So they added a bunch of bullpen depth and a good outfielder bat. And that's what they needed. So this is what I got, winners and losers for the trade deadline. You guys will probably not agree with me a lot. A lot happened. Fun trade deadline. Book it.